Hi everyone and welcome to Bonnie Astrology. Today I'm going to be discussing the new moon in Pisces, which is happening on February 28th, 2025, and what it means for your zodiac sign. As always, if you do enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up to let me know that you like it, subscribe to the channel for regular astrology content, and if you want to follow me on any of my socials, they are listed below. I post most frequently on Instagram, so if you want to follow me for all things astrology, I would love to have you there. So we have a new moon in Pisces coming up on February 28th. And if you want to know what it means for your zodiac sign, the timestamps are listed below. I always suggest that you watch for the rising sign for the most accurate astrological predictions, but you can also watch for your sun sign as well. Before you do though, you can watch the next segment of this video where I go into the astrology of this new moon and what it means for us collectively. Now, this new moon is quite special because it is leading us into eclipse season, a series of eclipses which began back in September 2024 with a lunar eclipse in Pisces. Now, this new moon is not a solar eclipse, but it is leading us toward a total lunar eclipse in Virgo, which is happening in March. So this new moon is somewhat of a gateway into a very fated and destined chapter for us all collectively, but also individually, particularly for those who have Pisces and Virgo in their big three, so your sun, your moon, or your rising. This new moon is an interesting one as well to watch because it is going to be in a square to its dispositor, which is Jupiter in Gemini. Jupiter recently went direct in Gemini, and it's also in a trine to Mars in Cancer, and Mars recently went direct in Cancer at the time of this new moon. Mars will go direct in Cancer on February 23rd. I'm filming this early February, so it has not yet gone direct, but by the time this new moon rolls around, it will have. So with this activity occurring between this new moon and these planets, which have recently gone direct, means that after a period of reevaluation, after a period of rethinking, particularly our actions with Mars, but also our beliefs with Jupiter, this new moon is a fresh start where we may be thinking about, okay, well, with the knowledge that I have now, with the awareness that I have now, with the spiritual perspectives that I have now, and we'll get to that in just a second, and with the understanding of what I need to do, where I need to take action, or where I maybe need to stop taking action, this new moon is a new beginning to take those lessons and those understandings forward. Now, the square to a debilitated Jupiter is an interesting one. The square to Jupiter in Gemini, Pisces is ruled by Jupiter in traditional astrology. And Jupiter does not function so comfortably in Gemini because Jupiter can get quite bogged down in the detail rather than the bigger picture. And Jupiter in Gemini, particularly because of its ongoing square activity with Saturn in Pisces, can sometimes bring about a crisis of faith. Our relationship to faith can look a little bit different. It can be a bit stagnant thanks to these two outer planets being in these signs. Now, the square to Jupiter means that sometimes we can have a little bit of a crisis of faith in what we're doing or where we're going or how something's going to occur. Sometimes it can really dampen our connection to the universe or to God or to spirit or whatever the case may be, whatever it is that you believe in. One of the most interesting perspectives about your relationship to the universe, if you feel like the universe is out to get you, if you feel like God is out to get you, a lot of the time it is because of our subconscious mind, Pisces. It can be that there has been past experience with authority, particularly from childhood, whether that was from your parents, whether that was from your teachers, where you feel like authority is not an advocate for you. You feel like authority is not on your side, is not wishing you well, is not wanting you to do well, or is, not on your side, so to speak. And this can be because of our perspectives of children. And this new moon is occurring 2 weeks after a full moon in Leo, which gives an abrupt expression of what the inner child thinks and feels at that particular moment in time. So you might notice back to childhood, particularly with parents, but also particularly with teachers, with Jupiter here, of where you felt you were not advocated for, where you felt you were not believed in, where you felt that they were not on your side, so to speak, and where that's still sort of lying dormant in your subconscious. Now, that sounds very psychological, and new moons are not necessarily a time of shadow work going forward, but the days prior to a new moon, you can sometimes find in the complete darkness that you become aware of what's actually going on within you, or what it is that you need to change. It's a very shadowy time, so it can actually be a rather underestimated time of shadow work. But it's also a time of surrender just before the new moon takes in. So you might notice where you have some issues with authority, with the universe, with God, with your spiritual side, and it might be worthwhile investigating where that comes from. With Jupiter being in Gemini, sometimes it can really be this energy of I'll believe it when I see it. When faith more requires us to, I'll see it when I believe it, more so. So this new moon can be a really interesting time to look into your relationship to faith. Although it's a new moon, it is falling in the final sign of the zodiac, so you might notice that this requires you to let go or to delve into your subconscious mind a little bit more than a regular new moon. And the square to Jupiter can absolutely, show you where you're having trouble with faith. So essentially with this new moon in Pisces being the sign of the fish and a square to Jupiter, no matter what you believe in, just keep swimming. The best advice with this new moon is to surrender, to go with the flow, and to just keep swimming. But it is good to check in with your relationship to faith, with your relationship to your spiritual side, with your relationship to your belief systems, and figure out where you are at this particular point in your journey. Where are you feeling connected to the universe, connected to the divine, or not so much? There's a really strong sense of connecting with the divine with the North Node and Neptune being in Pisces, but with Jupiter being in Gemini, it can sometimes be a bit of a struggle, as I said, to really believe in something with no proof, with no evidence. And sometimes it can be very important to have proof and very important to have evidence. But this new moon in Pisces is really testing your beliefs and where you're at in that journey, and where maybe some of the issues are coming from something psychological rather than something based in fact. One of the ways that we really see this playing out is oftentimes when we're in school, and this is getting quite technical, but Jupiter being in Gemini, Gemini is the sign of primary school, elementary school, or high school experience, whereas you know that Sagittarius is to do with college, university, that kind of thing. Where we're in school, if you think back to this, if you're no longer in school and you're watching this, or if you are in school and you're watching this, a lot of the time we can really lose faith on ourselves and our abilities when we have a teacher that we really don't like, or we don't get along with, or does not believe in us. That can really affect a pupil, that can really affect a student. And this in turn can, when you have a teacher, you have an external authority, as I mentioned before, that does not believe in you, you can stop believing in yourself. Now you can go the opposite way and you can do everything in your power to prove that person wrong. But I think if you look back to your schooling career, there can be time periods where there was one subject that one year you were really good at it and the next year it just fell off, and a lot of the time it can actually be to do with the teacher. Not always. Not always, there are no absolutes, but it can sometimes be to do with the teacher. So it can be this manifestation for the universe, for God, whatever the case is, where you really feel like it's not believing in you. It can be because you're not believing in yourself and you're doubting in yourself. The new moon in Pisces is a bit of a reset with your relationship to faith, and to really examine how you are the universe pushed out. So a lot of the time what you're believing about the universe, what you're believing about faith, can be what you're believing about yourself, or there can be some sort of inner turmoil going along, or inner memories or patterns that need to be expressed with this new moon in Pisces. And it can really help you if you are struggling with faith. And I mention this more so because I think a lot of people are, with the square to Jupiter being in Gemini at this particular moment in time. On the other hand, this square to Jupiter can sometimes be where we're having a little bit too much fun, or a little bit too much belief, or over-exaggerated confidence. And that can be a bad thing. A lot of the time it's a great thing to believe in yourself. So a lot of the time it's a great thing to believe in your abilities. But if you go out in a paddleboard into the middle of the ocean with not telling anybody where you're going because you believe you're a great paddleboarder, not wearing a life jacket, you can find yourself in really dangerous and unfortunate circumstances, and that can be through overbelief and overconfidence. And a lot of the way that people get their overconfidence checked is actually by being out at sea, and the way the weather can change in an instant. If you've ever been on boats, if you grew up on boats, if you grew up near the water, you can sort of see that overconfidence in the water is not necessarily a good thing. And I mention that because Pisces is the sign that rules the oceans. So if you are going out in the sea at this time and you are experienced and you're confident, just be mindful of the fact that overconfidence can sometimes be to your detriment, and it can be greatly over-exaggerated when you don't really know what's out there. So that's just a warning message, and it's not meant to be doom and gloom. It's not meant to be pessimistic, but it's helpful advice when there is a new moon square Jupiter, is to be mindful of where you're being overconfident. particularly, as I said, when it comes to the ocean. So the new moon in Pisces, the best advice to have at the time of this new moon with the North Node conjunct Neptune is to trust your intuition, to lead with your intuition. Now that doesn't always mean that your intuition is 100% correct, but a lot of the time it is the greatest tool and resource that we actually have. As I mentioned, the square to Jupiter in Gemini can sometimes add an element of distrust and a need to see the facts, a need to see the evidence. And as I mentioned as well, disclaimer, the evidence and facts can be of notable importance. But with this new moon, if you're initiating something, if you're beginning something in your life, trust your intuition and go with the flow. Sometimes we just have to have faith in the bigger picture. Sometimes we just have to trust the process and surrender to the other possibilities. Surrender to things playing out in a way that may be different to what we expect. It's more so the element of surrender and not trying to control everything, not always needing either to know the higher meaning. If you're searching for a higher meaning or a higher perspective, or you're having a crisis of faith, the answer is in your subconscious with this new moon in Pisces. So it is a good time to dive inward, do a little bit of shadow work, to really get into the flow with your emotions, to let your emotions come out and to really figure out what your relationship to faith is. And the biggest clue that I can give you is that your relationship to the universe right now is your relationship to yourself. As difficult as sometimes that is to hear. I want to talk about the trine to Mars real quick. Mars is in Cancer. The trine here suggests a healthy flow and expression of emotions. Mars in Cancer, Mars is in a water sign. Our emotions can really control our reactions. The trouble with Mars having been retrograde in the sign of Cancer is that it's been harder to act. Sometimes emotions can get a bit clogged up and a little bit backlogged, and then they can come out in ways that are a bit frustrating or unproductive, for want of a better term. And I think with Mars now being direct, we have greater clarity on what it is that we need to do and how we need to express ourselves or deal with our emotional reactions or responses, or have a healthy outlet for our emotions generally. The trine to Mars in Cancer means that we may have a clearer idea on what to do when it comes to divine intuition, when it comes to working on our subconscious, when it comes to healing, when it comes to our psychic abilities, our psychic gifts, of which everyone has them. So with the trine to Mars in Cancer, we may have greater clarity on what it is that we need to do and what steps that we can take to initiate something new, initiate that intuitive hit, initiate that process of healing, initiate that greater connection to the divine, or really working through what we're dreaming about. Pisces is dream energy. So sometimes with new moons in Pisces, we can have these really vivid dreams about what's next for us. Now, I don't want you to think that if you have a nightmare, I don't want you to think that's a prophetic word. Sometimes we can have nightmares because we're ignoring something that we're very worried about, and our mind is literally making us live them out so that we can process those emotions and deal with them in our day-to-day experience. Because I know sometimes when you hear, oh, there's chance of psychic dreams, yes, but it doesn't mean that every nightmare is a psychic dream. And sometimes our nightmares can just simply be revealing what's actually blocking us from something that we really want, or something simply that we're ignoring and we need to work on. But with the new moon in Pisces, yes, there can be intuitive hits. They can come through very symbolically. You can dream of people before they appear in your life. I've had that experience before where I've literally dreamt of a person and they've appeared. I think quite a lot of people do. Or you have a dream about someone that you've not spoken to in a while and you wake up and they've texted you, or something of that nature. It's those kind of intuitive dreams where there's just this sort of clear channel, I guess, from the universe to you, and it's not necessarily something that requires a lot of emotion. I often find with intuitive hits, they're kind of emotionless. They're just there, you just have this feeling that you can't quite explain, and it doesn't make you feel very much. Anxiety is a bit different, where you have this vision in your mind and you feel really nervous about it. That's different. Intuitive hits are usually quite calm. So if you do have a dream that's quite intuitive at this time, maybe note it down and see how it manifests within the next 6 months. One of the reasons that this may be particularly prophetic and a psychic time with this new moon is because we are leading into eclipse season, which is a very fated time, and that's where we sort of surrender and let the universe take the wheel. Which is why I'm saying to you, this is a really good time to work on your relationship to the universe so that you don't fret as much about eclipse season and the fated changes that do occur in your life. So as always, I'm going to pull a tarot card for this new moon in Pisces. Forgot to mention, if you have any factors at 9 degrees of Pisces in your birth chart, any personal placements, if you look at your birth chart, you look at your planets, anything at 9 degrees of Pisces, you look at your angles, your ascendant, your midheaven, etc. If you have anything at 9 degrees of Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, or Sagittarius, you may feel this new moon most impactfully. But for all of us, there will be a new beginning in the Pisces part of our chart. The thing is, when it connects with a personal planet, particularly an angle, it oftentimes is felt quite significantly, and the results can be less obvious if it doesn't. So bear that in mind. New moon in Pisces. King of Cups, that's beautiful. Do you know, this is funny because King of Cups would be a Pisces card. It would be a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces person in tarot. Someone who's very in touch with their emotions, someone who's very emotionally intelligent, and someone who's, if you notice in this card, there's actually ferns at the bottom, and ferns are ancient in the plant world. They were around with the dinosaurs. So this might be someone in your life who's, you know, very emotionally intelligent, someone who has ancient wisdom within them, an old soul, so to speak. But it can really connect us with our past lives. It can really connect us with our spiritual side, with our emotional side, with compassion, with emotional maturity. I do notice behind him, he has Saturn there, and Saturn is in the sign of Pisces, which is really asking us to check in with our relationship, as I said, to the universe. Saturn is a planet of authority. And Pisces is a sign of the subconscious, so your relationship to your authority figures in your life, whether they be parents, caretakers, teachers from childhood, or even your authority figures now. A lot of inner work can be going on with these people, a lot of subconscious healing, or noticing patterns with people in relationships of authority and how that impacts your connection to the divine and how it impacts your connection to your spiritual side. With the North Node in Pisces, all of us are moving towards being more in touch with the divine, more in touch with our spiritual side. With Saturn there, sometimes we have to understand our limitations and our restrictions. And with Saturn in Pisces, they're usually rooted in the subconscious. That is what I have for this new moon in Pisces. I hope you all have a wonderful new moon, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Aries, welcome to the new moon in Pisces for your sign. So Aries, this new moon is happening in your sector of endings and closure. So with this being a new moon, you may be initiating the process of releasing something, letting go of something in your life. With Jupiter being in your third house, perhaps this is pertaining to a way of thinking. The third house is to do with the mind, so maybe you're letting go of some mental clutter, letting go of a way of thinking, a thought process. You could also be letting go of some, stationery, journals, papers, things that are clogging up your space or cluttering up your space. It can also be for some of you that maybe you're releasing a car. Some of you could be letting go of a car at this time, or a gadget, a phone, your laptop, or something that maybe you have to let go of because you need an upgrade. I do think, having to change cars, because I changed cars recently, it can actually be a little bit of a grieving process because the car knows you quite well. If you go for a drive when you're trying to work through some things in your head, if you're talking out loud, if you're singing, you sort of find the car knows a lot about you, really, and you can become quite attached to it. So maybe some of you are releasing a car or something of that nature. I do think as well, for a lot of you, you could be spending more time alone, spending more time in solitude at this time, maybe wanting to meditate. And with Jupiter being in the third, again, that could be to, open your mind, expand your mind, to learn. Maybe you're taking some time alone to do a course, to read, to listen to podcasts, and, you're really filling your alone time with information. You're wanting to expand your mind, and you need to be alone to do it. You need some peace and quiet to do it, Aries. So you might be finding that you're spending more time in solitude around the time of this new moon, and you're wanting to learn more while you do it. So maybe you're wanting to get back into reading books, or, as I say, listening to podcasts, or even writing. Some of you could be taking some time alone at this point to write. With Jupiter being in the third house, there is a lovely trine to your ruler Mars, so I think you're feeling quite motivated to do whatever it is that you're doing at this time. Even if you're doing it solo, you're doing it alone. There may be some support in terms of your living situations. Maybe you have space where you can go away by yourself and shut the door and no one will disturb you, or maybe you feel like something's moving forward on a moving situation or a family matter, something's resolving, and you can just have a little bit more peace to yourself, Aries. Now, the Ten of Swords is your tarot card, but it is in reverse, and this is about making a comeback. So healing, or repairing something, maybe even reconciling something or with someone, feeling like you're able to let go of something in a way that is healing, and you're able to process maybe the end of a tough situation or a difficult cycle, Aries. That is what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Taurus, welcome to the new moon in Pisces for your sign. Taurus, this new moon is happening in your 11th house of friendships, groups, teams that you're a part of. It's also to do with your hopes, your wishes for the future, your aspirations. So for a lot of you Taurus, you might be setting some new intentions at this time. This may be a peak moment of manifestation for you, where you're getting very clear on what you want, what you need to do to get there, what your hopes are, what your dreams are. You might be more thoughtful about these things. And I think for some of you, it could be, based on your financial abundance. You're maybe thinking about the future and considering how much money you need to make or what you need to save. Or if it's nothing to do with money, it can actually be entirely to do with your values and what gives you confidence and what makes you feel abundant. Abundant is not necessarily just about the figures that we have in the bank. Abundance is about what makes us feel full, what makes us feel satisfied, what makes us feel happy. With Jupiter being in your second house, you're really considering with this new moon what would make you happy, what looks like an abundant future for you. It can also be a time where you're getting together with friends, you can make new friends, you can deepen existing friendships. And I think for a lot of you, you could really feel like it's easier now to communicate with friends, to make plans with friends, to be understood without trying to Mars now direct in your third house. You might be traveling to see a friend, taking a journey in a car or road trip or something with friends at this time. I think for a lot of you, you could really be focusing on what it is that you want. And it's a really positive time to do so because especially if you're trying to manifest, material abundance, or as I say, abundance in any of its forms, getting very clear on what matters to you at this time, Taurus, with Jupiter being in the second house. And really trusting the flow, trusting the process. And when it comes to new friends that you're making or teams that you're joining or groups that you're a part of, really trust your intuition with this one, Taurus, because it won't steer you wrong. Your tarot card for this new moon was the Nine of Cups, which is about emotional fulfillment. It can also be about a wish coming true. So as I say, make sure that you're manifesting, make sure that you're focusing on what it is that you want. You're really getting very clear on what you want to call into your reality, or maybe you're even noticing something manifesting at this time. Great one for spending with friends, great one for connecting with friends, making new friends, and really being, social. Maybe because you have with Jupiter in the second more confidence to do so, or even the resources to do so, Taurus. But that is what I have for you, and I will talk to you soon. Hi Gemini, welcome to the new moon in Pisces for your sign. So Gemini, this new moon is happening in your sector of career, your long-term goals, your status, your public image, your reputation, that kind of thing. So with the new moon being here, Gemini, it's a great time to set some intentions or get very clear on what you want over the next 6 months, what you want to work on career-wise, what you're working toward, what your goals are, what your long-term vision is, and really how you're going to move forward in the next 6 months, because we have a lot of activity happening in your 10th house this year. And albeit there's a Venus retrograde in that sector, so it's not necessarily going to be all forward momentum. You might have to go backwards in order to move forward, or review and reevaluate a little bit when it comes to your career. But this new moon is the time to set intentions about what it is that you want when it comes to your professional life, and really emphasize the you, right? Because this new moon is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is in your sign. What would make you feel happy? What would, set your heart on fire? What would make you excited? What do you feel you're good at? What do you feel your natural talents are? What do you contribute? There may be a new job opening up for you at this time, a new job opportunity, a new role. It could be quite high up when it comes to, this new moon in Pisces. We have Saturn there, the North Node there. You're karmically being pushed to grow in your career, even if you're not necessarily the type of person who prioritizes it. This just may be one of the years where there's the opportunity to move up, even if you weren't looking for it. Or it may be the opportunity to, move in new directions, or have a new vision for the future, a new long-term goal, or be known for something else, find a new way of being perceived by the world, add something new to your bow. Whatever the case may be, Gemini, it's really looking at it with Jupiter and Gemini here, with your natural talents and abilities where you feel confident. And maybe it's that, previously you've not had the confidence to go for something, a goal of yours, and now you do. So this new moon is saying, do you want to make a move here? Do you want to initiate something new? Do you want to apply for that job, apply for that role? Do you want to start working towards this promotion? Do you want to start working towards your own business? Whatever the case may be, Gemini. Now, your tarot card was the Ace of Wands, which I love because this is about new beginnings. It's a new passion. It's exciting. It feels like something very new, very novel, very thrilling, I guess, with the Ace of Wands, something that you're passionate about. It can absolutely be a new beginning. It feels like if a lot of you are going towards a new job, it's based on your own personal passions and your wants and your needs and your desires, Gemini. So it's quite an exciting one. I also want to mention it is in a trine to Mars in your second house. So there may be more opportunities to make money with new beginnings initiated now, or that may be a motivating factor in terms of your career changes over the next 6 months. That's what I have for you, Gemini, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Cancer, welcome to the new moon in Pisces for your sign. So Cancer, this new moon is happening in your sector of travel, it's happening in your sector of higher learning, and the sector of beliefs. So your spiritual side, your belief systems. So this new moon could initiate a new beginning here, or you may be noticing that perhaps you're moving in new directions when it comes to your faith, when it comes to your beliefs. And this would be entirely possible, Cancer, because the new moon is happening in the sign of Pisces where the North Node is now. So you may be going in new directions when it comes to your faith. Maybe you're more interested in faith, maybe you're more interested in religion, maybe you're more interested in solidifying and finding a belief system for yourself, and you're really asking the bigger questions. You're maybe feeling more philosophical, you're more interested in different topics and different debates, and really piecing the bigger picture together for yourself. And this new moon could be a time when maybe you're wanting to take a course, you're wanting to read a particular book or look into a particular belief system. And this might be something that you're doing very privately, Cancer, because Jupiter is the ruler of this new moon and it's in your 12th house. So this might be something you're working on behind the scenes, you're looking into behind the scenes, or maybe you're taking a retreat or a sabbatical, or you're going to some sort of spiritual event to really get to grips with your belief systems and how they're changing. It can be a very spiritual new moon for you, Cancer, I have to say, with the elements of the 9th house and the 12th house. It can be a time of spiritual exploration, especially over the next 6 months, that can really change your view of the world. It can change a lot. Some of you can go from being, maybe interested in astrology to maybe becoming practicing Catholics. And if so, God bless, see you later. If it's not for you in 6 months, that's fine. But you may be finding that, you're just shifting in new directions when it comes to your faith and your belief system and what that means to you. It's different and unique to everybody. As I say, some people believe, like me, in astrology. Some people, their belief system doesn't accept astrology, and that's okay too. People have their own perspectives. But if that is your perspective, I don't know why you'd be here, but maybe it's just shifting, it's fine, maybe you're exploring something new, whatever the case may be. This can also be to do with higher education generally, so maybe some of you are signing up for a course, a degree, you're beginning a new chapter in your course or your degree. Degrees can last 3 or 4 years in most cases, so this can be a new chapter for you, a new approach that's really based on perhaps some isolation, taking time alone to study, taking time alone to investigate, taking time alone and retreating from the busyness of the world in order to research and spend some time navigating these different topics and this information that you're receiving or you're learning about. For some of you, it could be a new teacher in your life, and this could be a teacher that maybe you're working with remotely overseas. For some of you, this could be taking a trip or a travel opportunity, and it could range from being pretty far to very, very far for a lot of you. The 9th house and the 12th house are associated with foreign lands, so you could be traveling at this time as well, Cancer. And I feel like if you are, you may be learning a lot. Your tarot card was the 5 of Swords, and this is about embracing change and, changing up the energy, so to speak. So you might be finding around this time that you're really undergoing a significant shift in your approach to life or your belief systems, and you're finding that you're realizing maybe other people don't believe in the things that you do, and that's okay. And vice versa. That's what I have for you, Cancer, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Leo, welcome to the new moon in Pisces for your sign. So Leo, this new moon is happening in your 8th house, and this is to do with other people's money. So this can be your partner's money, your spouse's money, the government's money, the money that you get from an inheritance, a loan, a grant, that type of thing. All comes under the 8th house. So there can be a new beginning here. You know, maybe there's a new source of financing for you from somebody else. Maybe your partner's money is changing. Maybe the amount of taxes that you pay is changing with this new moon. The North Node is now in Pisces, so this can be a time where you're really going in the direction of sharing with other people. And this can actually be to do with intimacy too. And I don't just mean that in a physical way, I mean in terms of emotional vulnerability. So there can be a new chapter for you with somebody else where you're really getting quite close emotionally. It doesn't have to be a romantic or sexual relationship. It can just be that you're deepening intimacy with other people. You know, maybe you notice that you're opening up a little bit more. Maybe you notice that you're opening up a little bit more to a friend, most likely with this new moon, because Jupiter is in your 11th house of friendships. Or maybe it's a group thing. You know, maybe you're going to group therapy, or you're working through something. Yeah, it would be group therapy, you know, or it would be working through something psychologically with a group of people, a team of people, maybe even, Leo. So you're wanting to really, perhaps under this new moon, get closer to somebody else, to be more vulnerable, to be more open about your past, maybe exploring psychological topics, maybe exploring, you know, generational, you know, inheritance in the 8th house is interesting because it's not just the money that we inherit, it's also the gifts that we inherit from our bloodline, but it can also be the generational curses, we call them, you know, or patterns that go on in family lines and things like that. And you could be working through that with a group of people, with a team. It could be you're going to an event where, you know, people in the group are sharing their experiences and their traumas maybe. So I think for a lot of you, you could really be getting a deeper relationships with other people, and that's kind of a direction that you're going in, Leo, where you're really working on taking down the walls of your heart and connecting with others. And again, that could be romantic, but it doesn't have to be. Some of you may also be wanting to really commit to working through some stuff, baggage, you know, inherited issues, anything like that, for the sake of a better future for yourself. You know, Jupiter's in the 11th, you're more hopeful about the future, and you may think, well, actually, do you know, I have to go through some, you know, some things to get there. Maybe I need to work through some stuff with the 8th house. The 8th house is to do with baggage and emotional damage and stuff like that. So maybe you're working through some things there. If it's not financial, if financial changes aren't occurring, it can very much be changes on a psychological level and really wanting to trust the process so that you have a better future, Leo. The Page of Swords is your tarot card, and this is about information, news, communication. I think communication's a big part of this for you. You have a Gemini 11th house, communicating with friends, sharing information with friends, gaining information from friends at this time. You might have a lot of conversations at this time and notice that you are feeling like you want to share your opinion, share your ideas, and maybe with this new moon even, share your feelings. That's what I have for you, Leo, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Virgo, welcome to the new moon in Pisces for your sign. So Virgo, this new moon is happening in your relationship sector. This is the sector of the other. So this will apply if you are single or in a relationship, because relationships in the 7th house aren't always just romantic. They can be business, but they can also just be a significant person in your life. But yes, they can rule long-term relationships, marriage, deep bonds that we have with another human being. It can also be to do with enemies, but I'm not going to focus on that one as much for this. For you, Virgo, the North Node is now here, and albeit this is not an eclipse, it is leading towards one 6 months from now in your partnership sector. There's a new beginning happening when it comes to a key relationship in your life. And I think for a lot of you, it could very well be business, because Jupiter is the ruler of this new moon and it is hanging out in your 10th house. So a lot of you could be forming new business partnerships, new business relationships, or having a reset in your relationship to a business partner or someone that you work with. You know, really thinking on, okay, well, what's the vision for success in this business? How do we want to be perceived? How do we want the world to view it? If it's not business, it could be a romantic relationship that you're currently in. Maybe you're thinking of working together. It could also be that perhaps you're considering what the long-term goals are in the relationship, within the relationship. Some of you could be starting a new relationship at this time, and it could be someone that you meet through work or a work setting. With the 10th house, it can also be someone you meet through a parent. But it can be with any kind of relationship in your life, Virgo. I think you're looking at it from the lens of what are the goals here? What is this going to do for, and this doesn't have to sound as shallow as it is. It's not necessarily that you're forming a relationship for this reason, but how does it make you look publicly? How does it work for your professional life with the relationships that you choose to form? I will also note that Venus is going to retrograde in this sector. So for some of you, this could be a case where you're considering reconnecting with somebody between this new moon and the total lunar eclipse 6 months from now. Maybe you're reconnecting with someone from the past, or maybe you're, rethinking how the relationships that you're in work for you now. Your tarot card, Virgo, interestingly, was the Four of Wands, and there's a married couple on this one. So some of you could be getting married, you could be going public with a relationship, you could be doing that hard launch of a relationship on Instagram. But this also says lover returns, so also some of you may be reuniting with someone from the past, or some of you may be deciding that you're ready for a relationship with this new moon. Whatever the case may be, Virgo, it's very relationship focused, and any relationship that you form or reevaluate at this time or reset is being viewed from the lens of how does this work for my public image, or how does this work in the long term. I think for a lot of you with Saturn being there, you're really associating if it can be a relationship to last, and a lot of the time when Saturn goes through the 7th house, it's a time of finding a partner that can last, or it's a time of committing to a long-term relationship. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Libra, welcome to the new moon in Pisces for your sign. So Libra, this new moon is happening in your 6th house, and this is really to do with your lifestyle. It's to do with your daily routines, your habits. It can also be to do with your job, particularly your relationship to co-workers, your duties, your responsibilities, and your employees if you have them. And it's to do with how you look after your health. So this new moon can perhaps for some of you be bringing a new job. If it's bringing a new job or a new role, Libra, this could be abroad, because Jupiter is the ruler of this new moon, and Jupiter is transiting your 9th house. So maybe for some of you, you're relocating for work. That's probably only for a select few of you. You could be working or beginning a new role in a company that is global, where you're really working with people in other jurisdictions. But for some of you, it can be to do with relocating and traveling for work at this time. For others of you, it can be that you're wanting to incorporate some spirituality or some sort of spiritual practice into your daily routines, prayer or meditation, or you're bringing your faith into your daily routines in some way, shape or form, Libra. A spiritual practice is part of your routines. It's very Piscean 6th house, having a spiritual part of your routine, even if it's just saying affirmations, even if it is just sitting quietly for 5 minutes, something to connect you to your higher self or a higher state of being, Libra. I also think for some of you, you could really be committing to a new health routine, wanting to maybe get in shape, or wanting to get healthy, or wanting to make changes to accommodate your changing health, whatever that looks like for you, Libra. With Saturn going through that sector, it's certainly an area of life that you have to take very seriously. For some of you as well, I think sometimes Saturn going through the 6th can correspond with some tough lessons when it comes to jobs. So there has to be a new beginning here for you when it comes to your jobs, your roles, your services, that kind of thing, Libra. It is interesting with Jupiter being in the 9th, because I think there is a higher mindset to this, and you're really trying to be positive, and you're really trying to see the higher perspective and the bigger picture, and incorporate a bit of optimism and a spiritual routine into your day-to-day services that you're offering, or the work that you're doing. If you're self-employed, maybe you're beginning a new chapter when it comes to the services that you offer, and you may be wanting to offer these more widely, to people, as you say, abroad in different jurisdictions and things like that, Libra. It is in a trine to Mars in your 10th house. Mars is now direct, so you might be finding that you're able to get some forward momentum towards some work goals. Your tarot card, Libra, was the 7 of Wands. And this is about making a stand, facing something head on. There might be something that you have to face that is tough, that is challenging, but you have to fight for it. You have to work for it, and you have to stand your ground or stand your corner, Libra. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Scorpio, welcome to the new moon in Pisces for your sign. So Scorpio, this new moon is happening in your 5th house, and this is the house of joy, it's the house of happiness, it's the house of creativity, fun, pleasure. It's also to do with love affairs, romance. And it is also to do with your children if you have them, or pregnancy. So there's a new moon here, meaning there's a new beginning. The North Node is here in Pisces as well, even if this is not, this is not an eclipse, but it is 6 months from now going to be a total lunar eclipse in this area. So this area is going to change a lot over the next 6 months. I suggest you set some intentions of how you hope it goes. But this is a very fun sector. Now, I think for a lot of you, what this could be is that for some of you, it can be a child on the way. For some of you, it could be a pregnancy, it can be a birth. This doesn't have to happen at the new moon. It could be a point of conception, but I think for a lot of you, within the next 6 months, you could be becoming a parent. You could be having a child. For others of you, if you're single, this could be a new romantic relationship on the horizon. And I would say that if there is a new romantic relationship on the horizon, it would be one where there's an awful lot of chemistry, but also one where you may find yourself having to confront your shadow quite a bit. Jupiter, the ruler of this new moon, is in the 8th house, so you might be having to work through some emotional baggage from the past, or you might be feeling a little bit tested on a psychological perspective. But it can also be someone that, maybe you're going to be connected to financially 6 months from now. That can be another way that it manifests as well. But for some of you, it can absolutely be a new romance. For some of you, it can be a pregnancy. For some of you, it can be a birth. But this is all leading up to a total lunar eclipse, meaning that sector is going to change quite a bit. It can also be a new creative hobby, something that brings you happiness, something that brings you fun. And even if it's something that brings you a lot of fun, the 8th house is involved. So it's something that helps you heal. It's something that helps you transform, change, work through some stuff, work through some drama. It can also be, the 8th house is very much to do with your joint finances. It can be a time where you're really focusing on your joint financial situation with a partner if you are having a child or if you have children. This can be a new beginning when it comes to your joint resources and your shared resources when it comes to children in your life. But I think for a lot of you, this is really a time where you're getting to grip, Scorpio, on what makes you happy, while also kind of expanding your understanding of what blocks your happiness, if that makes sense. With Jupiter being in the 8th house, there can be something psychologically that you're gaining wisdom and awareness around. Interestingly, your tarot card, Scorpio, was the Wheel of Fortune, which is about life cycles, change, destiny, fortune, that kind of thing. So this new moon could be a lucky one for you. And it's also in a trine to Mars in your 9th house, and the 9th house is very lucky. So maybe some of you are planning to travel, maybe some of you are traveling with a child, maybe some of you are traveling to meet a child. Maybe say, for example, your sister is in a different country and has a baby, you're traveling to meet the baby. There can be travel involved with children, taking a holiday with a child. Could be something that you're doing with your kids at this time. You're maybe taking a holiday, the first holiday after you've had a baby or something like that, with the trine to Mars. Or maybe you're learning from your children. Maybe your children are teaching you what they're learning at school and you're thinking, hey, this is actually really interesting, I didn't know that. There's a sense of learning with Mars being in the 9th house as well. I just think with this Wheel of Fortune card, you're very focused on the Jupiter energy. You're very focused on the life cycle that you're in and how you can make the most of it and how you can bring fun into wherever you are, Scorpio. That's what I have for you, and I will talk to you soon. Hi Sagittarius, welcome to the new moon in Pisces for your sign. So Sagittarius, this new moon is happening in your 4th house of home and property. So for a lot of you, this new moon could be a new home. Some of you could be moving or have moved. It's very likely that over the next 6 months, as we lead towards this total lunar eclipse, that a lot of you are working on changing or transforming your living situation, whether that be that you've moved already or that you're moving. It can be renovating, it can be changing, it can be, really transforming your home, your living space, or where you're living. It's all up for change in the next 6 months. There can be significant changes happening in your family with the people that you live with. That's likely to change over the next 6 months for some of you, if you have roommates, for example. But I think for a lot of you, the focus here with this new moon is on your home and your family. So there can be a new beginning here. Now, the ruler of this new moon is Jupiter in your 7th house of relationships. So for a lot of you, this is moving in with a partner. This is buying a home with a partner. This is moving in together, as a prelude to getting married or getting engaged or something of that nature, with Jupiter being in Gemini. It can be a new living arrangement with an existing partner. So maybe you and a partner are buying a property abroad, or you're discussing a new way of living. You're maybe wanting to change up the routines within the house or the system within the house that you live in with somebody else. But it feels like with Jupiter in the 7th house, there's a big focus on somebody else attached to this. But that being said, Jupiter in the 7th house can be to do with legalities. So this can be, going through the legal process of buying a home or something if it's not with a romantic partner. But it can also be that some of you, if you're moving, you actually meet somebody, believe it or not, as well. Maybe you fall in love with the person that's selling you your house. I'm pretty sure that's how Ariana Grande met her first husband, so that can happen when Jupiter's in the 7th house and you're, maybe purchasing a property or something of that nature, Sagittarius. There's a trine to Mars in your 8th house, and you're going to like this because if you have bought a property with a partner, or if you have been moving, renovating, and there's been a lot of financial changes and frustrations, Mars is now direct, Mars is moving forward. So this feels like an area of life that's smoother. You're not having trouble with someone who is selling you a home or letting you a home or a bank or something like that, or your partner's money can improve with Mars going direct in your 9th house and being in a trine to this new moon. If you've been, having trouble with your partner's financial situation, for example, it can improve at this time. For others of you in a more mundane level, maybe you're just feng shuiing your house to attract a relationship. Maybe you're making space in your wardrobe so that someone can put their clothes in there or something like that. It can be very energetic with new moons sometimes. So if you're looking to attract a partner, maybe you're changing your home to be more in alignment, to call somebody in. For some of you, if you're single and you're, not buying a house, it can be changing the energy within the home. Your tarot card, Sagittarius, is Temperance, and this is about balance. So some of you are having to find more balance at this time in your life. You're having to find peace, you're having to find tranquility, and that could be maybe by, you've a Pisces in 4th house, changing your home in some way to be more tranquil, a water feature or a meditation room or a meditation spot or a meditation chair or something that's gonna, put a peaceful energy into your home. Or you're wanting to find peace maybe with your family or your partner's family at the time of this new moon. That's what I have for you, Sagittarius, and I will talk to you soon. Hi Capricorn, welcome to the new moon in Pisces. So Capricorn, this new moon is happening in your 3rd house, and this is all about your mindset. So for some of you, this new moon could be a time when you're wanting a reset when it comes to how you think. For others of you, it could be that you're perhaps considering beginning a podcast, a YouTube channel. You're wanting to start a book that you've wanted to read for a long time, or a book that you've wanted to write for a long time could be in the process, Capricorn. Don't forget, the new moon is here, yes, but so is the North Node. And although the North Node and the new moon are not conjunct, and it's not an eclipse, 6 months from now, it will be a total lunar eclipse. So this area of your life is going to be changing in the next 6 months, Capricorn. If you were thinking of launching a book or a YouTube channel or something of that nature, from now to 6 months from now, there's likely going to be some development in this area. And it's a great time to set intentions for the information that you want to, take in, or the information that you want to give out. This is the time to set those intentions. For some of you, this could be a new car. For some of you, it could be a new phone, a new gadget. And this could be for work purposes because the ruler of this new moon, Jupiter, is in your 6th house. Maybe you need a new phone for work, a new gadget. Maybe some of you are getting a new car with your job, a new phone with your job, a new laptop with your job. It can also be that for some of you, you're getting more involved in your local neighborhood, in your local community, and maybe you're being of service to your local community. You're getting involved in something where you get to help other people. Maybe Jupiter in the 6th house, you're providing services to people that need information and you're volunteering that information because you have it, something of that nature, Capricorn. It can also be that there's a new beginning with a sibling. It can be that there's a new beginning with a neighbor. With Jupiter being in your 6th house, it could be that you're working with them on something, or you're maybe committing to a health goal together, or you're wanting to, as I say, provide them a service or help them with a service or something of that nature. But the new moon here for you, Capricorn, certainly looks like you're trying to put your ideas into something and get very clear in your mindset. Now, it's also on a trine to Mars in your 7th house, so it feels like you could be getting good support from other people, maybe a partner at this time or one key relationship in your life can help you with this goal. It can also be that some of you are taking a trip, a short-term trip at the time of this new moon as well. It could be with work, Jupiter being in the 6th, but it could just be for maybe something wellness related, a retreat, or you're driving to go get a massage, or you're driving to go get lymphatic drainage or something of that nature, Capricorn. Now, your tarot card is the Ace of Coins, which is the Ace of Pentacles in traditional tarot. This can be a new job for some of you, so I think maybe this new moon could be that you're getting a new, with it being ruled by Jupiter in the 6th, a new job, a new role, a new service that you're providing. Some of you could also be focusing more so on an abundance mindset and the mindset of potential, because you have a feeling your 3rd house, your relationship to your neighbors, your neighborhood, your siblings, your ideas is all going to change within the next 6 months. I do think some of you could be starting something new when it comes to communications, like a podcast or something of that nature that could bring you a new source of income too. That's what I have for you, Capricorn, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Aquarius, welcome to the new moon in Pisces for your sign. Aquarius, this new moon is happening in your 2nd house. So this is to do with your money. It's not just to do with your money, but it is very much to do with your money and your resources. So the North Node is here. 6 months from now, we have a total lunar eclipse. Your money may be changing. You could have new ways of making money, new ways of earning money. This new moon could initiate that process. For some of you, it could be making money through things that you love to do. Jupiter's in your 5th house. You could be making money through creative talents, creative projects over the next 6 months. This could be something that you're really focusing on, Aquarius, and this new moon could be the beginning of that, or the setting, or setting the intention of that. For some of you as well, your values are changing. What matters to you is changing under this new moon. There could be a new set of values for you, and this may be to do with having children or your children. Maybe some of you with Jupiter in the 5th house have had a child, and it's really shifting your values. It's shifting what matters to you. It's changing what you spend your money on. It's changing what's important. For some of you, your values and your confidence may be changing, maybe because you've fallen in love and you're happy and you're, enjoying that sector of life, and you're noticing under this new moon it's giving you more confidence. Or maybe you're thinking, I feel like I need to be more confident in this area, maybe more confident when it comes to your creative talents, your creative hobbies, more confident when it comes to your love life, more confident when it comes to parenting, to raising children, or something of that nature, Aquarius. You're really focusing on building yourself up, building your sense of self-confidence with this new moon in Pisces. I also think for some of you, you may be focusing on, gaining confidence through athleticism or working out with the trine to Mars direct in your 6th house. Maybe you're getting a confidence boost through the work that you're doing in a gym, or the work that you're doing in trying to achieve a fitness goal or an athletic goal as well, Aquarius. Some of you could be finding that you're really focusing on your own personal self-esteem. And as I say, with Jupiter ruling this new moon and being in your 5th house, you may find your confidence growing by having fun, by enjoying yourself, by dating, or by becoming a mother, or by, your art, your self-expression. You're really putting your true self and your values into what you're creating at this time, Aquarius. Your tarot card was the King of Wands, and this is about entrepreneurship. So I do think a lot of Aquarius risings are going to be making money doing something they love within the next 6 months. Or if you're already doing that, you have new ideas, you have more confidence, you have more vision. And for others of you, this can also represent a fire sign in your life. Maybe this new moon brings in an Aries, a Leo, a Sagittarius, or they're a real, front runner in this new moon experience for you, Aquarius. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Pisces, welcome to the new moon in your sign. So Pisces, you're the star of the show. You're the main character of this new moon. And this is your annual new moon to say, this is what I want for me. This is a time to bring the focus back onto yourself. Now, you've not had a new moon with the North Node in your sign since 2007. 2007, 2008, I'm not quite sure when the North Node left your sign, but it was way back then. So this is really bringing the focus onto you and how you're growing and how you're developing and the new directions you feel called to go in. So this new moon is a great time for you to set intentions for your whole life, Pisces. You know, what is it and I don't mean your whole life as in, you know, the length of your life, but I mean for all areas of your life. Because 6 months from now, we have a total lunar eclipse in your sign and you will have changed quite a bit. So with Jupiter being the ruler of this new moon and it being in the 4th house, under this new moon, you might be manifesting a new place to live. You might be manifesting a new property. You might be manifesting a renovation or an expansion of the home or an expansion of your family. For a lot of you, 6 months from now, you could be pregnant, expecting a child, or having your first child, with Jupiter going from the 4th to the 5th, or, you know, expanding your family too. It doesn't have to be your first. But I think for a lot of you Pisces, you might be finding that this new moon is a time for you to set intentions of what it is that you want your life to look like 6 months from now. And you probably want to be living somewhere different or having a different home life experience with Jupiter being there. But 6 months from now, that total lunar eclipse, Jupiter will be in your 5th house. So your living situation may change because of a romantic interest or because of expanding your family or having a child or something like that. Nevertheless, this new moon is a good time to start, you know, something new for you. In terms of changing your appearance, listen, oftentimes new moons are the time to do that in your 1st house, for sure. But Venus is going to be going retrograde in your 1st house, and Mercury is going to be going retrograde in your 1st house next month. So just hold off doing anything permanent. You can be experimental, but as long as it's something that, you know, you can change back easy peasy or you can return, just don't commit to a whole new image. If it's, you know, something brand spanking new. Some of you might decide you want to return to your natural hair color, or you want to return to your natural some of you might be wanting to actually return to something that is more natural for you, whatever that looks like, whatever that is the case. But I think with this new moon, it can be a time when you're really wanting to invest in yourself. Some of you might get new shoes or new socks, or you might go for a pedicure at this time, with the new moon being in your sign, being the sign of the feet. I do think for a lot of you, it's a great time to set some new intentions. And 2 weeks from now, we do have a lunar eclipse in your sector of relationships, which is interesting because your tarot card was the Lovers, Pisces. So for some of you with this new moon, it does feel like over the next 6 months, your relationship status may change, especially with the South Node being in your 7th house. You could be calling in a new relationship, reuniting with an old one, leaving one. Whatever the case may be, Pisces, remember you always have choice with the Lovers card. So it's about choices, and it's about finding something that aligns with you and where you're at. So for a lot of you under this new moon, maybe you're manifesting new love, or you're manifesting changes in your partnership because maybe you want to have children, or you want to buy a home together, or you're ready to leave a relationship that no longer serves you, Pisces. Whatever the case may be, this new moon is the time that you're setting those intentions. That is what I have for you, and I will talk to you soon.